All right, so the next thing that we're going to do is start working with our application WordPress. So we've installed it locally. Let's take a look. Here it is on my hard drive. I double click to launch the application. Now I've run it already a couple of times, so I have more than one site set up, but you're going to come up, you're going to select your site, and then you want to go into the admin panel by clicking admin. It's going to launch the site. And then once it launches, you're going to put in the username and password for the site. So it just came right up, but usually you'll have to, more than likely, you'll have to put in a username and password. Okay. So here we are at the dashboard for WordPress. And let's talk about the different parts of WordPress. Let's go through and give you kind of a description of what everything is. So this is like the main area where you start. Most of the time you just move right off of here as soon as you get in here. There are some things here that give you some different news, and then some buttons here, but generally we're going to ignore this. It's not very helpful. Starting at the top, you have home, and then you have updates, and the idea is that if there are updates that need to be updated, you can hit them there. Then the next thing down is posts, and you'll see that when I mouse over here and click, there's additional elements. So a post is a journal element, and the idea is that I can use WordPress to deliver two different types of content. One is posts, and the other are pages. And so a post is, the idea of posts is that I'm updating the website, I'm updating the blog, and I'm creating new posts, and the posts supersede previous posts. Okay, so when I create, we'll go through understanding how to use posts. And the idea with the post is that content-wise, there's not a lot of difference between posts and pages. The difference is how they are organized and used. All right, so generally posts are organized into categories. Okay, next is media. So if I click media, what we have here is a media library where I can upload things like PDFs or images, videos, and other types of content to the WordPress environment. And we're going to go through and identify the different types of media. We're going to talk about the different types of file formats. And then we're going to learn how to resize, upload, and import graphics into WordPress. Next, we have pages, and what we're primarily concerned with is using WordPress as a page builder. And what you'll need to do is choose the number of pages appropriate for your site. So it could be 3 pages, it could be 17, it could be 5. And the idea is that this is where you build those pages and you manage those pages. And we're going to learn how to build with pages and how to use posts. We're going to lean heavily on working with pages. There's a couple of different page editors. There's the traditional classic WordPress page builder, and there's a newer WordPress page builder called Gutenberg, and we're going to spend some time with understanding how to use both of those. Next is a comment section, and the idea is that, as I said before, the initial use of WordPress was as a blog, so it was open-ended where I could write something and then people could comment on what I'd written. So in many circumstances, if you're using WordPress as a page builder, you're simply going to disable the use of comments on your website, okay? Now I've got a, I'm going to skip Elementor. That is an advanced page builder, and we're not going to cover that in this portion of the class. I was just seeing if I could load it. We're going to skip that. Let's go down to templates. So the idea of templates, let's skip that. Let's go down to appearance, and let's go under appearances where a lot of your features are going to be. So the first thing is themes. So a theme is basically one of the starting points for this journey. And so a theme is the layout of the website. It's all the structural elements of the site. So it is where the header is, whether you have a graphic a header or window, where the text buttons and navigation bar goes, the layout of the page, is it 2-column or 3-column, where the footer goes, what color the footer is there a background, is the page expansive, etc. Is it responsive? So all those types of choices are made when you choose your theme. So WordPress starts with a handful of slotted themes that you can choose from that are simple, or you can download and install additional themes. So one of the things we'll do is we'll learn how to evaluate the use of themes, and it's going to be based on function. So their themes can be very specific to a certain type of website that you're trying to build, and the features that you need to best express the content. So we will spend a lot of time working with understanding how to install and work with themes. There's one theme is always present when you're working with WordPress. You're always loading at least one theme. Under appearance, under themes is customized. So depending upon which theme you have loaded, you will have different customization options. And so this is one of the first places you'll go when you start building your site. And this is one of the first places where you'll go to start to make the site look unique. And so things like loading a logo, deciding whether you're going to have a header image, what that header image is going to be, whether you're going to have a background color for your page, what the menu will look like, whether or not to engage widgets, what the settings will be for the home page. All of that is decided through the customizer. We're going to come back and we're going to learn how to use that. So that customizer is unique to each theme. All themes have a customizer, and they have certain elements that are similar. Like there usually is a place for you to load a logo. There usually is a header image. Sometimes it'll be a slider, etc. So they usually fall into similar categories. And that is my customizer. I'm going to close the customizer. Let's go to widgets. So widgets are little elements that can be stored on the sides or the bottom of your web page or your blog. And so those things can they can be any of these elements over here on the left. An archive is an archive of your recent posts. A calendar is a calendar that shows the date. I can create a element, a widget with custom HTML. I can use it to insert an image. I can use it to create a navigational menu. So I select the widgets and I drag them into the area where I want them to be active. So it could be on the right side of the page, left side of the page, in the banner, in the bottom, or in the footer. Now, generally what I do is I don't use widgets when I'm building web pages because they make the site look like a blog. But there are some times when the widgets can be very helpful. And if I'm doing blogging, then I do engage the widgets. But the widgets are little applications that you can use to add distinct chunks or areas on a page or on a blog. Menu. So we're still under appearance. So excuse me. So one of the first things you're going to do is you're going to set up a menu structure. And to make a menu structure, what you'll need to do is have an idea of the number of pages of your site and what those page names are going to be. Once you set that up, then you create a menu. And that menu is the menu that appears on your website, usually at the top. You can have some WordPress themes will allow you to have multiple menus, a menu for navigation, a menu for the footer, a side menu, etc. But the idea is the menu is the main source of navigation for your site. So the idea with the menu is that the most important elements on your site are going to go into the menu, right? Whatever it is that you want the users to get to first or are considered the most important are going to be part of that menu. So you design that menu with that in mind. Okay, so we're going to come back. We're going to learn how to use the menu. Next is the header. So what that did was that took us back into the customizer where we can change the image at the top of this page and start to customize it. Let's close that. Same thing with background. It's going to take us back to that customizer and allow us to add an image to the background. So they've just called these out separately. So Type It is a content-focused WordPress theme that is designed to look great. So this is another WordPress theme that they're asking you about. We don't need to worry about that right now. Next, I want to talk about is the theme editor. Okay. So one of the interesting things about WordPress is that WordPress is an open source application, which means that anyone can contribute to the WordPress community. WordPress is free and it's open to be edited. If you know how, you can go in and you can edit the style sheet for the theme. You can edit its functions. You can edit the assets, but you really have to know what you're doing. You really have to know what you're doing. So 90% of the time, I suggest to students not to modify using this, this element, the theme editor. In fact, it gives us a warning. It says, heads up, you appear to be making direct edits to your theme in the WordPress dashboard. We recommend that you don't. Editing your theme directly could break your site and your changes may be lost in future updates. If you need to tweak more than your theme CSS, you might want to try making a child theme. So that's a copy of the original theme that's linked to the other. We're not going to worry about doing this type of build in WordPress. It is possible, but we're not concerned with that. We're going to stay on this side of coding as much as possible. If you decide to go ahead with direct edits anyway, use a file manager to create a copy with a new name and hang on to the original. That way you can re-enable a functioning version of the site if something goes wrong. So I just wanted you to be aware of the fact that it is possible to go in and directly edit the theme and its contents, but my suggestion is that unless you're a code warrior, don't bother. Don't try it. So I'm going to click go back. All right. I'm going to stop here, and then I'm going to come back in the next video and go through the rest of the elements in your application, WordPress.